wonder how CLG is going to deal with it. It is a three-way flex. You can put it jungle, mid, or top lane.
And a continuation of the ban focus towards that bot lane when facing off against 100 Thieves. CLG enacting a similar strategy to what we saw from Evil Geniuses in the game just prior, and also the same first lock against them in Varus.
I like the Kalista ban from 100 Thieves last time they played against CLG. Luger run a truck through them. Don't want that to happen again. Varus being the pick from CLG, allowing Aphelios and Thresh to be there for 100 Thieves there's a reason for that. It's just a hard life for Aphelios in that matchup. We're seeing another Kaisa lock-in from 100 Thieves.
That also plays into just the state from which both of these teams are approaching this game.
Yeah.
DoubleLift just came off of playing this pick on the stage and is now going to do it again. Very warmed up at that, facing off against CLG, who's been waiting around all day. They played earlier and
7
were
hours
able
ago.
to, a long time. So they want to keep up the win streak. They've had 3 victorious games across this Super Week, but they had to really bide their time in waiting for this.
68% win rate that we saw on the Sion. One of the 2 picks that Tenacity's been going through a lot. Gragas is the other one, so it's very clear. You already know what 100 Thieves are going to do. Gwen has usually been the response, at least the last response that we saw from Dhokla in this matchup. He tries to take the matchup to itself, try and get Contractz involved. So wonder if that's going to happen here. Oh, it's going to be the Yone. That is a flex for Dhokla and Palafox. So want to see where that goes.
Very much a CLG special coming through to the forefront once again as a flex between those solo laners. Rakan, the pickup for CLG. Poome having 2 games, a 50% win rate, but that's also a steal away from Busio, who we know to favor the pick.
Ooh, and the Nautilus pick has been the pick versus Rakan globally. We've seen that quite a bit. Even with the lower win rate here, it's just because it has been slowly getting picked up. Some of the teams out of playoffs have been picking it pretty aggressively, so would not want to focus on the win rate there. But it is a good way to set up the Kaisa. So team fights were a focus last time around. Going into 4-5, I expect CLG to ban the Viego out and make life a little harder for Closer.
Yeah, that was always going to be a pick that drew a lot of glimmer into the eyes of Closer fans when they get to watch him pop off on the Viego. We'll have to see if CLG decides to deny that opportunity, considering what we just saw Closer do in the previous game. But still making their way through these bans. That's the Viego coming out right now, considering that 100 Thieves still have that jungle position to lock.
The next one might be a Lee Sin pick for Closer. Last time, scrambling my brain, we've been here all day. He played that one out there. He was a demon on the pick. It was actually a Yone that he was facing too, so he got the gank off mid lane kill, went top lane, same thing. Vi being the ban, actually quite good versus Lee Sin, so I expect that to be a ban from CLG as well.
Evil Geniuses had also elected to ban the Lee Sin away from Closer as that last ban during the previous game.
True.
So CLG, if they're deciding to follow the same footsteps, will continue to target that jungle position.
Just depends what they want, because Wukong has been something that Closer's been really good at too. So the Lee Sin's being banned, they can easily just lock in the Wukong here. So 100 Thieves have been going for a typical draft like this that has been comfortable. The Kaisa's the only one that really haven't seen too much of until today. So let's see if it's going to be a Wukong and how CLG responds.
There it is, Wukong locked in for 100 Thieves. Starting to round out this composition. Some similarities to what we had seen from the top position in Tenacity, sticking to that Sion. And yeah, not a lot of Kaisa thus far, but also a symptom of the squenching of that pool from the bans of CLG. And still a comfort pick for Closer going into this matchup. CLG also still looking to find a jungler for themselves.
Yeah, and I like the Yone here for Palafox. It would just be a blind though. Gragas being the lock-in. Actually, really surprised that we didn't see the Gragas a little earlier, but that does mean that Gragas should be that top lane pick for Dhokla, and Palafox should be picking up the Yone. It'll be interesting because that means they'll have a lot of angles in fights. Life for the Kaisa will be pretty difficult with Gragas being the front line, so a little bit more reliable front line there for CLG. Oh! Gragas jungle! A lot of flexes here, so that's going to be a Gragas jungle with Palafox taking the Taliyah, and it's going to be the Yone top lane.
Okay. Lots of Taliyah action today, and Yone going into the top lane is something that CLG can be just as confident in as if it were going towards mid because of Palafox and Dhokla both having notoriety on that. And it did allow that flexibility with the continuation of the draft all the way to the end.
There it is. As you mentioned, it's going to be a Lissandra being picked up for Bjergsen. He was pivotal the last game. Follow-up engages that he had with Closer and Busio were there. No Rakan, of course, so that's the only thing that you're going to have to be aware of from Busio. He's going to be on the Nautilus, so probably just playing a little bit more back and forth. I mean, from front to back.
So both of these teams serve.
So a lot of the line. Both teams quite surprising, but surprising the fans out here today.
As a reminder, the stakes of this matchup, whoever loses will end up being the 4th seed. I'm going to wait on that point just to make sure nothing crazy happens. But yes, whoever loses this will be the 4th seed to face off against Cloud9. And then the winner of this matchup will face off against FlyQuest to start their playoff journeys.
Playoff time, man. The funnest. I just love brackets, best of 5s.
Yeah.
Teams really pooling in a lot of their research and prep just for one opponent. So best time of the split for sure.
True. It is a good time, and it's an endurance run in itself because of the continuation of the best of series and having to prep so heavily and hyper focus on a single opponent and then change up that strategy the next time around. So I'm looking forward to see what both CLG and 100 Thieves can do in the playoffs. We were talking about it, Raz. This is not where either of the teams expected to be today, fighting for 3rd place seeding. Going into the power rankings of those at the start of the year, some of the doubts around teams like 100 Thieves when they were going through that earlier contention and difficulty in finding their identity. Now seeing that syncing up between DoubleLift and Busio and them coming online in a way that has rewarded their decision to play together. CLG always wanting to play upset. Dhokla speaking on the broadcast about we're Counter Logic Gaming. We're always going to play different than expected.
Yep.
People expect us to not do well, then we do well. And clearly a lot of fans trying to back them up in their grand pursuits and playoffs.
Talking to the CLG manager, he was quite happy to find out that the desk didn't have a lot of faith in CLG. To keep that going. When we're thought of the least is when we win the most.
I don't blame them. That's definitely a cycle that mentally you're like, all right, we're always the underdogs. We do better at the underdogs. Please don't give too much confidence in us.
Yep. It's kind of wild. Taking a look at this, though. Gragas is bot side. Looking mid, though. This could be a good opportunity for a gank. Closer is here as well. Probably just going to be looking for Scuttle if nothing comes of it. Here we go, though.
Bjergsen looking for the play onto Palafox, the root, and a knock back. Bjergsen falling low, but those junglers are fearing for the help. Flash over the wall by Bjergsen. Trying to look for an escape for Contractz, but Closer getting the last slam. First blood, jungler on jungler.
Yeah, pretty unlucky. They thought they had the damage for Bjergsen there, but Bjergsen had flash, wasn't bursted down, and that was a flash committed from Contractz at the very beginning, so very easy kill there from Closer on the back half. Great start for 100 Thieves.
Intervention from both sides across that mid lane, and just one kill to come of it thus far. CLG is the final boss. That's awesome. Happy for you, CLG fan. No, socials. They don't want to be the final boss.
Hey, but it is nice the fact that they're really fighting for 3rd for both teams. It's nice to see CLG as a team. I think their biggest strength that came through this one is just catching people by surprise. Not only just the Contractz ganks that happened earlier today, but also Dhokla's creativity when he was on that Sion. Looking for a play bot lane. His Sion ulti got a lot for them. TPing top so he doesn't lose in that first game of the day versus Cloud9. Now he's going to be on the Yone pick. And right now, lane's going fantastically for him.
A hook from Busio onto Poome when considering the Rakan and the Nautilus lock-ins, ones that have come into higher prominence as time has gone on, that's exactly what you're going to see. Trying to get a little bit of a lock, trying to go in with a battle dance, and seeing what poke can follow.
Take a look at this. The mini-map, you see Wukong being pinged out, looking for Raptors, so he took a little bit of that, but that meant ward was placed down from CLG side on the top side of the map. That means that when Taliyah does have push mid, can look for a play top lane, try and get a dive on a Sion. It's hard, but with how much damage has been put on Tenacity, it is possible.
And good call out on Taliyah and seeing what Palafox can do there, because speaking a bit more on CLG and kind of this underdog mentality, the stories of all of these players and coming into the LCS at varying points in time have had a lot of doubters and have had these opportunities to really switch their own narratives. Dhokla proving what can happen when you go into what is now the NACL and really work on your craft to be a formidable force over in the LCS. Palafox last year being very outspoken on the strengths of mid laners and feeling how the impact of nameplates does cause people to adjust their expectations for mid laners and that they should put more respect on his name.
Yeah.
Even though he's a technical newer to the league than some of the other mainstays of the mid lane, has now been around for some time and shown what he can do on champions like Taliyah that have that agency to affect the map.
Yeah, CLG are just a confident team. That's something that is refreshing to see. Confidence in their own mechanics. And if they look for a play, they're all aboard it. So that's been what's been picking up a lot of wins for them. And the creativity, like the looking for flanks, making it look, their composition is always technically harder, but they're able to execute on it. Contractz in lane now, looking for a play. Poome would be the one that's starting the fight, so just take a look and see if Poome is able to get the initial engage.
Lots of pressure on Poome to do so, but no stranger to that pressure. And I'm thinking about that early game decision making. Your eyes are on players like Poome and Contractz, and Contractz being such a leading force in the early game, not just as the jungler, but just as a personality for this team, as the Dragon's being focused by 100 Thieves.
Yeah, and take a look at that. It's because it's Tenacity making the long run from base and TPing, just securing the Drake. That's going to be the first Drake for 100 Thieves. And it just is quite hilarious how much Tenacity is willing to give so the team can get the larger objectives. And so it's really nice. It's refreshing. I mean, he is still able to catch the full wave top lane. So a good timer for him. He's able to set 100 Thieves off right now.
What an important evolution for a player that has had a lot of hype around him for quite some time throughout his entire rise into the LCS. People have been waiting for him to make his appearance as a regular mainstay on the stage. But a lot of his early name-making was off of these aggressive picks and being able to carry. And back in the day when Tenacity and Kenvi were wrecking up a storm over under the 100 Thieves umbrella. So the development of a player like that is very much seen in how they play the tanks and how they play these facilitated picks.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun thing if you were able to catch a VOD review. Flash being blown on DoubleLift now, though.
Flash does create enough distance for Poome and Luger to not be able to follow up, but an important summoner at that for the bot lane of 100 Thieves.
Yeah, so going back to your point, Tenacity in fights at the beginning of the split, I'd say middle, when they were losing games, a lot of it was he'd just be taking free damage, carry's not able to, or at least not linked up with him, able to really respond. A lot of the stuff like that would happen. That has not been the case at all. I feel like he has been probably the better tank in this league now for the team. And so it makes them really confident taking fights front to back. Good trade up here for CLG to go for Rift Herald now.
Focusing there, Closer just remaining in his jungle for now. And Bjergsen sweeping all the way through. Bjergsen and Closer currently at the top of the gold charts and looking to make some faces at Contractz and Dhokla, though, getting a little scared off by the 100 Thieves presence.
Yeah, they're slow contesting here, but this is just going to be CLG. Kaisa, Nautilus way too far back in base, and it was Rakan that made the move first. So once again, CLG holding their ground, recognizing that they had first move. Good start for them. They have Rift Herald. Now it's on them to recognize where they want to place it. I think they would want to place it, honestly, top lane. Usually you'd want to place it towards your bot lane, get Luger the gold. But I think letting Dhokla get that gold to get closer to his shield bow is going to mean that next fight's going to be even better for them. So the fact that he can just always threaten the backline with his E and ulti on towards DoubleLift, I think is going to be a positive. But it's going to be on Bjergsen. If that were to happen, try and stop him. But you might see a scrap here.
Yeah, Poome blast coning over, but has the battle dance to get back to Luger. So little minor interactions over on that top side, but no blood to be spilled around that. And yes, still looking at the claim of Contractz going on in though. Dhokla slamming into Tenacity, flashing away, ult away as well. So much expelled from the solo laners meeting on the bot side.
Yeah, and that was really close there from Dhokla to get the kill on Tenacity. But that just means that now Tenacity is going to lose that next wave. Doesn't have ulti to come back towards it. Actually, they're going to be moving Kaisa bot lane still. Loses the wave for that entire thing. Nice to see that Dhokla is now going to be up 10 against the Sion. Get himself in a nice, comfortable spot. I want to see where Gragas deploys now on the map. He's going topside. I think Dhokla should be doing the same, meaning that Contractz is trying to give that gold to Dhokla and seeing if they can wrap around mid lane. That should be the next play.
Yeah, that farming was fairly even before then between the solo laners, and now looking for ways to extend that slight advantage that had been granted. You see Luger going back over towards that bot side, and I think with that, CLG can have faith that they're holding their own right now in against a team that has been warmed up and has been warmed up on the early game, and I think that's a great place for them to be.
Yeah, 100%. Honestly, it's a pretty even game, even with slight gold lead for a little bit there for 100 Thieves. A little concerned about this next Drake fight that's coming up. 40 seconds on the clock for that one. They are pulling their pressure towards this bot side of the map. Maybe they can get a pick on towards Luger. If they just get flash, that's good enough. Makes it harder for Luger now to press up in fights. So let's see what they can get out of this.
And they do have that flash advantage against DoubleLift, who is still absent one, and you can tell by the positioning of DoubleLift was kind of wanting them to come on in, knowing that Busio is over in the bush and Closer out in the cove. Saw it out. B emote to boot. Get a little bit of that. All right. I know you saw me, and can't quite make the play happen, but a valiant effort from 100 Thieves to try to force the playmaking out of CLG, and Bjergsen making those rotations as well. A charm onto Busio, the hail of arrows right below for some burn, and somewhat charged up Q to continue that focus onto the enemy support.
Yeah, that's just a bit of an overforce from 100 Thieves. Busio was trying to find anything. Lissandra was leaning over, but that just means that Palafox was able to deny a little bit of experience there, and now Contractz gets the push with Rift Herald. They're not going to be able to follow through on it. That's going to be the gold going to Contractz. Maybe they can split the gold, but the goal here is Drake. TP's going to come up for Tenacity, but TP's always been there for Dhokla, so CLG are really confident for that reason to press up for the fight.
Press up with that Rift Herald for the slam into the bot turret, granting them some of that plate gold. Dragon currently spawned. Bjergsen wants to find the root and follow up onto Palafox. Finds protection under the turret, though, so still keeping alive with the objective up as well.
They were thinking about getting something, at least blowing the cleanse from Palafox. He now moves back to TP. Just trying to maybe push this next wave, base, come back into the map to TP as soon as possible. But that's the window for 100 Thieves, going for their second Drake of the game.
Starting it up, Poome remaining in river, Contractz, blast cone positioning to make that entrance into the pit, and has some of the poking potential of Luger. A flash and a blast out of the explosive cast, and the root right in the middle of it all. Poome goes down, but it's the kill for kill, taking out the enemy jungler. Palafox has come through on the Weaver's wall. A nice knock onto Busio, who has to get on out of there, but Luger did get that kill onto Closer. The dragon was secured by 100 Thieves.
Yeah, an auto from DoubleLift. No smite there from Closer. He didn't get that one off, so that was really close. Contractz was trying to get a smite plus ulti combo to see if that's enough damage. Really close there, so that second dragon for 100 Thieves, they're in a really good spot. Even with the 2k gold deficit, that's something they're going to try and stack up just like the last game.
And Kraken Slayer now completed for DoubleLift, and Divine Sunder for Closer. So working into those completed items for the next time they battle it out on the Rift against CLG, who have a 2.3k gold lead right now, looking to extend it all the more with a potential kill onto DoubleLift, who has to flash and cleanse out of danger.
That one's rough. That one's going to be a tough one. We didn't see the start of that one, see how that started, but I saw in the minimap he did get a little bit too close to the line bush, maybe toward it. Now he paid quite a bit. There's not going to be much that's available now to fight over. Drake's coming up in 4 minutes. You can maybe make a claim on the next Rift Herald, but DoubleLift should be safe now until the next sums come back up. Maybe just give up this Rift.
And CLG now matching with some of their initial item completions. The Immortal Shield Bowl for Varus here. And stopwatches in the pockets of the mid laners. Rift Herald now spawning over on this top side and beginning to see Bjergsen in that unlocked state. Palafox, being on the Taliyah, had already made plenty of rotations. seeing if he can support Contractz and Poome in their control over the jungle.
Ooh, chunk of damage on closer there. I think right now off the buys, CLG is in a really good spot. TP should come in if they want to fight for this. They are moving for it. Luger was able to buy shield bow for this fight, so I want to see how they get this one done.
Yeah, Poome got locked there by Busio, so 100 Thieves off of that engage managed to pop the support, claim what's theirs, and really break into CLG's attempt there to try and contest them.
Yeah, I don't really know about that one. I felt like CLG should have fought for it just because they were in a better spot, but Dhokla wanted to stay, maybe get a little bit more bot side. He is getting collapsed on, but I think he should be fine. Oh no.
There's lots more here for the party. Dhokla, flash away, ult already expelled. Getting lots of hits onto DoubleLift though, gonna get one more, no! So close though.
Yeah, that was a tough one. But Dhokla overstaying. Just a few mistakes coming in from CLG that's now starting to give 100 Thieves an edge. So the Rift Herald was one play where Poome goes in. I was expecting a TP follow-up. I know that that would have been a slow play for CLG, but it was two things happening at the same time. Dhokla trying to get gold on the side lane. CLG trying to contest 4v5. Didn't really like that. Then that was happening. Greeting too much for the play, not really realizing that 100 Thieves was collapsing. So too many mistakes coming in from CLG. This happened in their Cloud9 game, even with the early advantage, making mistakes mid-game that actually pushed it so C9 was fighting for Soul Point. So you don't want to really have this happen again. I know it's a long day, but you have to clean it up.
Yeah, those two dragons will become that much more threatening as 100 Thieves continue to try focusing that stack up. Palafox juking it out with Bjergsen, and DoubleLift is here though if he needs to get into the action, but we're still at such a healthy turret over on this top side for Palafox. Knows that he's got that support and jungler unlocked. Continuation of focus on this top side as there are no more neutral objectives over down bot for another minute until that soul point becomes an opportunity for 100 Thieves. But 3,000 gold lead for CLG, 2 turrets in their favor. The advantages are building in different ways.
Yeah, and I do like this side for CLG trying to play the sides here. Dhokla did get punished last time. That's a lot of gold that is able to get that go into Dhokla's pockets if he gets that second tier turret on bot side. And also just pressure. Being able to take that bot lane tier 2 means that they can push for deeper vision in the blue side jungle, especially since the focus is going to be on Drake. Drake's going to be coming up in 30 seconds, so maybe you'd expect CLG would fight for that one with 2 Drakes in 100 Thieves' pocket. It should be easier. He also gets an easier flank position, so that will help out Dhokla in coming into the next fight.
Rewarding CLG with tools for that next fight by keeping him on that bot side. Now engrossing upon the river positioning. Dragon coming up. 100 Thieves here for the party, and Poome wants to find the angle, goes in for a knock-up onto Tenacity. Weaver's Wall for the separation.
Oh, man.
The hit back, and suddenly your tank ain't no more for 100 Thieves. Charm onto Busio, but Contractz eliminated. The burn is good. Luger over the wall, pops the Nautilus, but still all the while Palafox keeping his focus onto closer. 2 for 3 trade thus far. 100 Thieves getting the numbers advantage.
That was a big amount of burst coming in from 100 Thieves. I like the pick on Tenacity. The Weaver's Wall coming in to separate 100 Thieves was a good call. I do want to look back at that fight just to see where the damage was coming from. They were all clumped up there, so it was interesting to see. I know that Dhokla came in a little bit late. Still, they will get dragged for their troubles. They were just far healthier there, but just take a look at this. So, the engage from Tenacity, Contractz is pretty close up. And it looks like they were just straight up bursting down a really squishy Gragas there. And the flank there, actually, Luger was also in a pretty tough spot. So that was another one. Luger was in a position where Palafox actually couldn't help him up. He was pretty... they were not linked up, so that was another thing that they could look back on the fight for.
So those moments that you're talking about, Raz, that they can look back, try to shore up for future engages. But in the end, CLG sticking Dhokla onto that dragon after that fight, making sure to break into the stacking from 100 Thieves.
Ooh, this is something we missed during the last replay. Having to burn flash on that one. Palafox, great job there. That was just Kaisa maybe taking a cheap link towards top lane. Did not want to take the long way around, now got punished for it, so that will suck.
have no summoners for DoubleLift next time around, and still have a little time that they can buy, though, now that the Dragon's already been taken care of. Most of the warding from either team does not extend past that line of scrimmage from the river, so
yeah,
as a result, there's also more limited movement in the teams as well.
At least from 100 Thieves' side, this is good vision control here. I think it's going to be risky trying to get that control ward. Closer's going to go for it, and if anything does happen, always can clone out, so there it is. Doing a meticulous job to being able to do this. It also gives DoubleLift an extra wave of farm to farm up in the top side, so that's nice. And also, CLG's alarms are flaring. They have to clear out this vision just in case 100 Thieves are going for a little bit more.
Yeah, you don't want to get caught out by 100 Thieves when you are looking at how close some of those moments in those fights have been. It's only 1 kill differential, maybe 2, and really just has depended on who's in the best position to try and take some fights like this one right in the jungle. Dhokla, burn. 100 Thieves finding the picks again.
Another pick on the Dhokla on his side. He was trying to, I don't think he was trying to just go for red. Maybe he was trying to contest it so he can keep up. And then at some point, CLG can help him out, the rest of the team, but this is snowballing.
Oh, the stun, they move right past that turret. Luger eliminated. Bjergsen coming out of stasis, and 100 can burn down the turret, starting to get even more of these outers so they can match the progression across this map that CLG was originally able to get those outers. Now 100 Thieves making that hit.
This is turning into a pattern every 100 Thieves game. They fall behind a little early, but they find picks again on either side lane or just that one engage to claw themselves back into the game. That's another example on it. Turns from one pick on a Dhokla, and now CLG are falling like lemmings. Need to play a lot safer here. Thankfully, now chilling out. Luger's back on the map, and they can now set up vision around the next Drake. They were able to take the last one, but once again, 100 Thieves are in a position to fight for soul point.
And that gold lead from CLG dropping down to basically 1K off of these picks. And Dhokla, even though he's 0-2, because of what happened to him against 100 Thieves, was still spending a lot of time building up that farm, existing in the side lanes as you expect from the Yone. So in some ways you're thinking, okay, one pick ain't that bad, but now we're seeing the full effect of those cascading picks.
That's wild. From a 3.3K goal lead, now it's basically even, 1K now. It's been up and down, but 100 Thieves being able to equalize this by a bit is concerning. It happened in the last game. It's been a constant thing. Happened in the Evil Geniuses game. So it's just about being the better team fighting squad. And right now, 100 Thieves, at least in this game, have been better at being able to collapse on Dhokla that has been making mistakes. That's been one thing. But then challenging for fights, and CLG have been falling.
So when discussing these consistencies that you've seen from 100 Thieves in recent games, falling a little early in the early game, but getting the picks to turn them around for overall victories in an impressive way. How worried are you for CLG on the opposite side, kind of facing off against this mounting 100 Thieves where you've seen that story across their recent performances?
A little worried, but all you need is that one fight. I mean, Dhokla, if he can find an angle. Same could be said on Gragas. I just remember a ton of Gragas games in the LPL that even if he's behind, all it takes is one good cast to change things. So that's why 100 Thieves are still respecting them. Yes, the goal lead is still there from CLG, but Contractz is still really strong here. No, 100 Thieves actually clearing up vision around Baron. You have to respect that.
Getting the clear on Baron's side while the Dragon has spawned on bot side as well. So both of the neutral objectives being up means 100 Thieves are deciding where they want to pull that pressure. Dhokla continuing to push in the side lanes. 100 Thieves bringing it through. The charm attempt by Poome. Isolation is DoubleLift looking for the kill onto Palafox, but the shielding is good. Busio, teleport in the center of it all. A channeling from Tenacity to try to get the knockup, but the stun is good. DoubleLift falling low, but gets a blast onto Palafox before falling himself. Poome looking to help this escalation onto Closer, eventually eliminated, but so low on the HP bars for the remaining members of CLG. It's a 2v2, but a double kill coming in for Bjergsen. All the while, the Baron buff good for 100 Thieves. Bjergsen and Tenacity holding on to that purple.
That was a close fight, and Palafox did the right thing initially, an ulti to separate them in the pit. but that blue trinket a little bit too late. They knew they had to walk through 100 Thieves' vision. And take a look this one more time. I'm interested. Busio did the right thing, delaying Contractz because they wanted to burst it down. They got the Baron. DoubleLift actually put in a lot of damage on towards Palafox, but was put down so low. So I thought with him being out of the fight, essentially, that they would be okay. But Tenacity and Closer are way too beefy. Bjergsen finds an angle here as well, buying some time. Great Zonias from his side. And it was Closer that was eventually the MVP of this fight with how much damage he was able to place down. So overall, a really tough fight from 100 Thieves, but a great position that they had to start that fight off.
Off of a call that was within their control. Busio said, oh, there's an ult coming my way. I'm just gonna go golden for a little bit of time, but now a pick given over towards CLG around this Drake. After seeing that fight on the Baron side, 100 Thieves only working with a couple of the buffs after losing multiple members. A charm onto multiple coming on through. CLG want to contest. Closer getting on out of there. Tenacity now followed by all the members of CLG who want to rip through that tank. Popping his passive and rotating back over towards the Dragon. In the end, though, DoubleLift and Bjergsen not there for the fight. They were ushering that pressure over on the top side.
Yeah, and I mean, felt like a good death for the Sion. You get both mid and top lane turrets. You still have Barons. You're actually kind of scavenging their jungle at the same time. Sure, that is a Drake going over to CLG after they end up picking up there. It is now their second Cloud Dragon, but I feel much happier for 100 Thieves. They were behind a good chunk of this game. Now they have a 1K goal lead off of that Baron push and a trade. Sure, you don't want Tenacity to die, but that was a lot of time wasted.
Lots of time wasted, lots of gold gained across this Baron buff that remains for another 15 seconds, and CLG losing their windows to find a position of power to try and tackle against 100 Thieves. Yes, they were able to continue clearing some of that pressure on the side lanes when Dhokla originally was getting that turret pressure, but all the while, you are worried about what 100 Thieves are going to bring when that second Dragon stacked for CLG doesn't really build into anything for them just yet. Yeah.
It's going to take some time for them to really find now some strength. 100 Thieves are barreling down bot lane, able to get that outer turret. And it's just going to be them trying to pick at CLG's vision in their red side jungle, something that they've been really good at these past 2 weeks. CLG have to respect that. EG fell to that. And it's something they were in this studio watching up closely for, so good luck.
Yeah, it's hard when you're looking at this state of the game, 100 Thieves having the turret advantage, having these waves pushing in their favor. Look at where the mid lane wave has been as well. And it's just Dhokla trying to do what the Yone does to continue creating that back pressure. Or Palafox going for the play onto one. The charm after the knockdown over, knock down on DoubleLift. CLG taking an opportunity to get a pick for themselves.
Yeah, too greedy there. His team had already backed out. He thought he was just going to be safely out of vision on that one. So great pick from CLG. They need a little bit more of that. It started with Lissandra going up top to deal with Dhokla, because Dhokla is still piling on pressure. He's forcing someone to respond to him in that top lane. So that really made it to 100 Thieves. They're like, you know what? We got what we wanted. We have to back away. You don't want to lose bits of gold like that.
And speaking of gold and where it's lying on both teams, you can see the bounty for Bjergsen. And yes, 3 deaths for Dhokla, but still building off of that pressure that he is drawing, putting more gold into his pocket to continue to be a formidable force for the squad.
Taking a look at the items a little bit. Like the Hex Drinker here. Oh, no.
Busio knocked on back by the explosive cast. Some few hits and more from Palafox. Contractz with the kill credit.
It was a nice pick. Found him sleeping there. It's a nice angle there. Just better tempo from CLG. Hiding in that bush. Always had that control ward now. So 25 seconds off the rift. It's going to be a little hard for 100 Thieves now to keep the vision that they've put in a lot of work on the map up, so gonna have to put in that work again.
And that's the biggest thing gained by CLG because of the timing of that pick. We are quite some time off of Dragon. It was still a full minute at the time before Baron, so vision is really the only focus that you can bring on that, especially when taking down the support on the enemy side. That's their biggest duty. So you can see how much blue was lit up around this Baron side now, which is where we'll potentially see more of the focus in the minutes to come.
All right, taking a look at the vision they've placed right now. Nice control ward in tri-bush, so they can see if 100 Thieves try and push in from there. Maybe they can get another pick. It's going to be a little harder on closer in comparison to Busio last round. But now, yeah, it's 100 Thieves this time that has to push into CLG's vision.
And plenty of vision means plenty of chances for Dhokla to come into the fight when necessary, has that teleport available. Same with Bjergsen, who's currently looking to match.
Yeah, you can see Dhokla is also pushing out that bot side. He's always forcing Bjergsen to respond. So something that we have to look closely at. If we're going through another Baron dance, he's just always going to be annoying as hell on the side.
And in that dance, 100 Thieves moving as a cluster through the enemy jungle means that they've afforded some vision control for themselves too. And now being the first to step up into the Baron pit, they were the ones that made the play on the last Baron to usher the attention from CLG that resulted in that scrappy fight of a 3-for-3 kill trade, but still 2 Baron buffs, 400 teleports coming in from both sides. Weaver Wall here to connect right across, and already expiring. Baron still getting hits from 100, still getting the burn down. Dhokla into the pit he goes. And 100 Thieves stand off against that. A knock up onto closer, but he still remains on by. Coming on in, Contractz with the kill onto the Baron. Oh, looking what they can do against 100 Thieves, who were the ones to first make the call.
Great for 100 Thieves to slow down the DPS on Baron. Oh, they're looking for Palafox.
Closer's going in for it on foul. There's a knockback, and Contractz looking to blast it back though as well. Closer continuing to get separated. Contractz coming out of stasis and into the grave he goes. CLG funneled into the opposite side of the map. Tenacity coming into play, going to wind up on that Q, but a stun and more from Dhokla, swinging right on back to the back for Poome. The one to go down. Multiple members lost from CLG, and a blast back onto Busio under the hail of arrows. He falls. Closer still marked down low, but even with the low HP bars, it's a triple kill for DoubleLift. CLG, they get the Baron, but not much more after that.
Wow, DoubleLift on the bottom side of that fight had an amazing angle. And then when he was finally focused, that ulti to reposition and a flash out pulled in a lot of attention. That, to me, was the main winner of that fight. That was really nice to see. So that was really close, and that's going to be third dragon now for 100 Thieves. A really tough spot that they were put in to begin with. We'll take a look at that one more time. Kind of like trying to see. Now, this is what was really fun from CLG's side. Dhokla says the hell with this. Even though it was 3+K, he wanted to lower it, make it easier for Contractz. With the amount of AP he had, bursting it with Q, ulti, and smite. Way too hard for closer to even compete with that one. So 100 Thieves wanted to take that fight at all costs.
And I mean, it was them attempting to kind of get a repeat on that previous play. CLG though, despite getting that Baron with that great play from Dhokla and Contractz now in the fight, ended up losing out. The separation of closer not really being punished.
That was the thing, yeah, my eyes were on closer at the very beginning, but then I didn't actually see that Contractz was in a tough spot at the Zonias initially, and then was easy picking. But I looked at Dhokla. He looked like the real difference maker. The ulti to get 3 was one big part of the fight. DoubleLift trying to keep his distance and was so close to death when he was able to nail him down. Trying to find Luger on the back half, but didn't want to push too much for it. Take a look at this, 420 shield. I mean, that's just a lot. Damage prevented, that was a lot too. Probably the biggest part of that fight. So yes, DoubleLift right now popping off this game.
Yeah, when you looked at how low his health bar was towards the end of the fight, same for the rest of the team. Just being able to come in and get that finish off onto multiple members of CLG was that difference maker that you're calling out, Raz. And just when you get that triple, suddenly that Baron that CLG had snuck away just loses so much power.
Yeah. We take a step back, that's going to be soul that 100 Thieves are fighting for, even though you can see the kill on the screen. It doesn't really matter. The goal's pretty even. And the game's just about Dhokla and Contractz, their playmaking they can show for it as long as Poome. If Poome has a good angle, great. If they can get a pick on DoubleLift, that's just a win. So that's going to be the game they're aiming for. 100 Thieves are doing a great job at being able to push back on that right now to win these fights.
even in gold, even in turrets, just a singular dragon advantage for 100 Thieves. But beyond that, it has definitely tightened up in this portion of the game as we approach 35 minutes into it.
Right, you think he has, yeah, pretty sure that Dhokla is here now. Gonna back away, that's the one way you lose this game. Getting picked off by them. He has 3 items and QSS and stopwatch, so a lot of ways for DoubleLift, Dhokla that is, to kind of outplay fights if he finds himself in a tough spot.
Many ways to delay, really, and just increase the amount of time he can get those shots, try and get into the back line. We already saw, even in that last fight before DoubleLift was able to come in and offer that additional damage, Dhokla did have that right idea in mind. So if it goes a bit differently, with a bit more of that survivability considering the progression of his build and the rest of the pieces around him, maybe CLG can try and get a different result on the next engage.
Few things to point out before any fight. Just a stopwatch check. Luger and Dhokla both have stopwatch. I mentioned Dhoklas, but I forgot to mention Luger's and Cleanse. Before the next fight, he should have his flashback up, so that's something to take note of. On the side of 100 Thieves, nothing really there, but they've been playing well enough in fights for them to just be right behind Tenacity, so he'll be creating a lot of space in these fights.
Bjergsen's flash coming back up now. Still a bit of time before DoubleLift will have access to his.
Yeah, and he had to base just in case they didn't have eyes on where Dhokla was in that moment, so wanted to clear out that minion wave before he turns into a pretty chaotic angle in the game. 100 Thieves throughout this split, they got front door, they got back door. They had a lot of times where a team being annoying on sides really lost them games, and 100 Thieves are trying to ward out against that now.
They want to find that consistent, clean look to really set themselves up for playoffs, because you always sense that difference in energy of players, right? Depending on how that victory was achieved, whether it's a little smirk on stage. We've actually seen 100 Thieves before come out of wins where they think, oh, I don't know how we feel about that though. So having these confidence builders and being able to come back from deficits and hang in here now in what has been really tight between themselves and CLG is very important for them to try and clinch off of this victory. A victory here, meaning that 100 Thieves would avoid playing Cloud9 and instead play FlyQuest. Yeah, and focus matters. I know the desk mentioned the fact that CLG has been here since start of day. 100 Thieves, on the other hand, were here at the end of day. So these Baron plays that have happened were all previously started by 100 Thieves, but with different results and early aggression from Palafox just to be able to separate, and so much attention paid to chunking down Tenacity, who has been a big frontliner for 100 Thieves. It's Poome on duty with the positioning in the back of the pit to see what he can find, has the quickness available and the chance to connect to 100 Thieves if they aggress, but has to do the wraparound to support the rest of the squad. Teleport coming in from 100 Thieves to usher CLG into their own jungle. Yeah, CLG didn't feel too confident about that. They knew that Tenacity was going to just TP right back into the fight, and they didn't actually have enough damage to burn Baron in that moment. Thinking to see if they can get another pick on Tenacity. In on it, Contractz wants to find the angle to throw out that explosive cast, separates 2 into the jungle and 1 towards mid lane. Poome gets a charm onto 1 with the quickness, but that's all that he can draw. With the dragon taken down, 100 Thieves getting that soul also means that DoubleLift can now unlock himself to come and join the rest of the fight against CLG. Yeah, that was the key play we were looking for, but that's a pick on Poome. Swinging away. Closer setting up for the team. No support now for CLG. A double kill for DoubleLift. We have seen this before. 100 Thieves make their way towards the Baron. Last time it was a snag from CLG. This time 100 Thieves secure. 100 Thieves are talking about fundamentals for weeks now. That was played perfectly. Buying a lot of time around Baron and really pissing CLG off while DoubleLift was just soloing Soul on the back end and was there for the fight. Really well played. 15 seconds still on Poome. They're going to try and push for inhib right now. The purple cloaks now onto 100 Thieves with the Red Bull. Baron buff 2.5k gold. These teleport in so they can have the entirety of their team on this push. executing across this mid lane. CLG still 10 seconds before Contractz can join the fold.
Oh, they're looking for it.
Poome's trying to go in for it, had the quickness, wanted to get some connects, but couldn't quite do so. Just most of the abilities thrown from Palafox to usher 100 Thieves away, now with the equal body advantage.
A lot of teams would continue to push for that, knowing that Poome lost his ulti and got nothing for it. They saw bits and pieces of 100 Thieves just waiting in fog, so they're not gonna fall for that, but they're gonna try for a fight now, I'm sure. They don't want to take the chance. They don't want to take the risk there.
Unaware maybe of how far the reach extends for CLG on knowledge of the angles that 100 Thieves were looking for. But still, now because of the backing off of 100, maybe CLG can get some more warding up on the map so they can try and minimize the advantages 100s create with this Baron buff.
And Gabby, like, we take a step back. It's week 6.
Yeah.
100 Thieves was in 7th place.
Yeah.
A hell of a climb to find where they are right now, and they're just a threat to every team. A 5-game win streak, a 6th game with the tiebreaker they had last. They could turn it to 7, and Palafox is getting caught off guard. Has the flash.
Oh, no flash on the mid lane then. Yes, for CLG. See what 100 Thieves can do for that. You can see Busio coming to match as well. But I think that when you're looking at 100 Thieves, and even though there was some uncertainty on what to expect from them in the beginning, some would consider it kind of doubt in them when a lot were placing them in that 4th, 5th positioning, then doubting they would make it into playoffs after.
Here comes Sion.
But coming on into the fight, it's Sion making the first play, a charm in response, knock up as well, and the lockdown Busio goes in with the dredge line, and the GA being popped currently for Closer to come on out of it, does have to flash to rejoin the rest of 100 Thieves. Dhokla goes down after executing the flash of his own. CLG cannot get a pick onto any member of 100 Thieves just yet.
By the skin of his teeth. It was Dhokla that was so close to being able to get the kill on DoubleLift. Had GA, still wasn't enough. While Luger wasn't touched, it's just going to be tough now with Tenacity. And Bjergsen now looking to start the fight.
If you can see it, Busio, even though low, wanted to try and threaten with a hit of the Q. They do get the inhib before backing off here. But that gold lead still standing strong for 100 Thieves. We are 42 minutes into this game, Raz, and a lot of swinging back and forth previously between the gold lead, but those Barons making such a big impact.
And a lot of credit to the crowd out here. 10 p.m.
Yeah!
You guys still out here.
Let's go, let's go.
That's crazy. It was wild for me to think that this could have been a 5-game tiebreaker. A pick on towards Contractz, though.
Coming out of stasis, the root and more is still good. Again with the ultimate, Tenacity makes his way towards Palafox, and CLG, just Luger, Poome, and Dhokla ushered back over into their fountain side. As 100 Thieves make this push across, bot taking down more turrets. Poome getting blasted down to 50% HP. A full-line knockup from Dhokla, but not enough damage to be able to find a kill onto any just yet. Luger coming out of golden territory. 100 Thieves want to get the finish up. They take down every member of CLG, usher their way into the base, making such a stand in the last moments of the season, the last tiebreaker of the day, and a victory at that.
And look at 100 Thieves players. You can see it in Closer's eyes. The fight within them to get 3rd seed in playoffs. What a run it has been for this team. They talk about the rocket never stopping. They didn't stop.
We thought so much about how this team was positioned and what to expect from these veterans known for their prowess with accolades that could fill up any word count requirement on any essay you ever have to write with how much they have accomplished. But then faltering and then finding their surging again.
Yeah.
Finding the way that they could utilize the newer pieces of this team in Busio and Tenacity to put on a good show going into the playoffs.
Every player on this team knows their role. Tenacity really